everyone, and welcome back to our show, To Whom It May Concern. I'm your host, Malak, here with my co-hosts, Inara, Khoel, and Mariam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hey.
I hope everyone had an okay Monday for the most part, and is ready for another entertaining episode as we discuss the art of gossip.
The art, I hear.
I
I don't think gossiping is an art. I feel like people just do it.
It's more of storytelling with a twist.
I mean, gossiping is a really, gray area type of thing.
No.
I mean, you kind of don't know when you're talking if you're, actually
You don't
gossiping.
realize that.
Yeah,
I
I feel like a lot
no,
of things
I
could be
definitely
considered
feel gossip. I could definitely feel gossip when someone's talking. This is how you know. As soon as you mention somebody's name, I feel like
That's gossip.
That's.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, you
But
can say
if
good things
you're
about
this
somebody.
person is having a party, that's not gossip. But I
If
agree.
if you continue on with that conversation and be like, oh, what are they gonna wear? How are they gonna do it? What's this?
Or they looked like this or something.
Yeah,
Then it could be, I guess, considered gossiping.
but I would know that's gossip. Like that, I would know.
So saying someone's name triggers an alarm.
Yeah.
That this may be treading on gossip terms.
Yeah.
I
feel-
guess.
So it's hard to know when you're gonna fall into it, especially if you're just so used to always hearing it.
Mm.
Or if your conversation just flows. Like, sometimes you're just talking to somebody and I guess it just becomes gossiping and you don't even realize it. Like, you're kind of just carrying a regular conversation and then names are mentioned and suddenly you guys are talking about, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it just flows too easily also.
I
And then
can.
all of a sudden you know everybody's story. You know the tea about everybody.
No, I honestly, I'm not into those conversations.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. Like, when you're in an environment that you're so far away from gossiping because you're just talking or you're busy doing other things, and then you go into a group of people where that's all they do. For them, they might not notice
That would
it.
make me feel uncomfortable.
Exactly. For them, the other people that are talking, they may not notice it, but you, because you're just not used to it, then it makes you feel uncomfortable.
I think there's a lot of types of conversations that we assume are gossiping also, and it's not necessarily gossiping.
But I'd rather play it safe. Like,
Well, what do you mean? What types of conversation?
Like, I don't think just mentioning someone's name is considered gossiping. You know? Like, you could just be discussing something that happened. I don't think that's necessarily gossiping.
It depends.
What are you
Again,
talking about?
It just depends on what it is and what you're sharing. And some people might not even want you to share the good about them either, so.
So when I think of gossip, I feel like it's just pointless talk.
Yeah, it's vain talk. It's unnecessary.
Exactly.
But for the most part, when you say gossip, it usually means talking about other people, and it's not in a good sense. Like judging
Yeah.
others, talking down about
Like a
others, trying to
negative
spread stuff
connotation.
about people. Yeah, it's definitely
Like
negative
rumors, yeah.
Here's my thing. What if you want something to go around, but you don't want to tell someone to spread it? For example, I know that sounded a little,
confusing.
that sounded a little confusing, so let me explain it. For example, you're at the hospital. You don't want to tell people, hey, I'm at the hospital, come visit me, but you want people to come visit you. So you're expecting someone to go tell someone else that you're at the hospital.
That's not.
Is that gossip?
That's not gossip. I think people will be like, hey,
That's
I'm going to
just-
go visit Mariam because she's sick at the hospital.
That's
Like, I
like you
think that's a
dropping
normal,
hints.
yeah.
But then does that go into, why was she at the hospital?
Well, hold on. Gossip versus regular conversation about other people.
I think that would
That's what
depend
I'm
on
saying.
Mariam, though. Like, if Mariam's like, I don't want anybody to know, and you're spreading that, then, like, I don't want anybody to know I'm sick, I have this illness, and then you're going around
But I
saying
wouldn't
this.
comment either way that I would want her to tell or not to tell. You don't tell people, hey, go tell people I'm at the hospital.
But
If
you
you didn't want them to know, you would say, hey, don't tell people.
Yeah, you do get a sense of people and their personality. But I feel like with sickness, that's because you're telling people not because it depends on your intention. Listen, if your intention is to spread it because you want to talk bad about that person, that like Mariam's at the hospital, do you know what illness she has? Like if you're trying to spread that, that's negative. But if you're like well intended, like I want people to go visit her, I want people to see her.
But you can't judge people's
I'm
intentions.
concerned about her. No, I'm saying you as a person who's sharing this.
But like you being part of a conversation. Like, based on what you guys are saying, it sounds like anytime you mention someone, it's considered gossip. I don't think that's true.
Whenever you mention somebody's name, automatically you should think about what you're saying and what's your intention behind it. Because when people, like, when you share things about
like,
people...
tread carefully.
Yeah, definitely. Like, that shouldn't... people's name should not be on your tongue easily. And when you do want to mention something, you better think 3 times.
And usually if they say, oh, I don't mean anything by it, or...
Stop right there. Because, you know, you're going to say something negative. You're going to
Yeah.
say something bad.
Or no
Or
offense.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
No offense.
I
yeah.
would say that to her face.
I hate when people say that.
I also think that sometimes when people think they're saying something good, they don't consider it gossiping, and I know that could be a form of gossiping too. Like, if you're saying something good about someone, but they don't want you to tell people about it, that's considered backbiting.
I
So
mean, because as that person, it's
that's
like,
also-
yo, nobody wants Hasad. Like, that's
Privacy,
real.
yeah, privacy.
Yeah, privacy. Mhm.
I definitely think gossiping is the downfall of our society because people waste so much time gossiping and talking about other people, whether good or bad, that they're not
They're wasting
like
their
talking
own
about
time.
like talking about educated topics or ideas or what motivates you and yourself.
Mhm.
So they think more about others than they do about how they can grow as a person.
I agree.
Like, so they could be thinking more deeply about life and reflecting and thinking
Or doing their own thing.
Well,
Like,
there's
living
that-
their own life.
something
There's-
more important.
There's that quote that's like, average minds discuss people, great minds discuss ideas, or something like that.
Oh, I like that. I never heard that.
You're welcome. Okay, but what do you guys think about people that are on social media? Like,
You
when
already
they-
know I hate social media.
No, like when people blast what they're doing and you talk about it, is that considered gossiping?
Yes. Yeah.
Even
I mean,
if they put themselves
well,
out there?
So here's the thing: people who put themselves out there can't complain when they're being talked about, but the people that are talking about them, it's still gossip.
Like, you still shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, because what's the difference if I do something out on the street versus putting it on social media?
Okay, one step further. What if it's like the president of our United
Oh.
States of America?
Uh,
Because then
That's
I am guilty of so much gossip because I don't like
You
his
have to ask
policies,
Donald Trump
but-
for forgiveness.
I
No,
don't believe that.
seriously.
No.
Imagine being locked out of
I
Jannah.
think
For
no,
Donald Trump.
that's definitely not true. You guys.
No, I'm pretty
He's a
sure.
political figure that
Yeah.
has a lot of power. So like we should, if anything, hold him accountable and be very open about what we're talking about.
So should we comment more about his like policies, what he's trying to move forward, and like what he's talking about,
Or his personality.
Some people will comment like make fun of the way he talks, make fun of his skin color,
Looks.
his hair. Yeah, like
Well, in general, I find that annoying because a lot of the late night shows always like do that, but it's just like he himself is an idiot.
wow.
He makes
Like,
himself a target for ridicule.
Regardless of like how he looks, the way he speaks, and what he talks about, and just
Yeah.
the way he is, he's
So then there's a certain level where you reach that you can be talked about, is what you're saying.
mm-hmm.
So it's easy to slip into
Yeah, but that
gossiping,
doesn't
I
make it
guess.
right.
No, I don't think it's right, but I just don't think that. I think that people consider everything gossiping, and I don't think everything's gossiping.
Give us a clear cut definition of what is not gossiping.
If people put things on social media and you're discussing it, it's not considered gossiping because they're putting it out there. Like, how do you not expect people to talk?
But
about
they're not
things
putting
they
it out
talk-
there for you to talk negatively about it.
No, I'm not saying you have to bring them down, but you guys are saying just talking about people is gossiping.
So is talking negative
I
only
think-
gossip?
That's what I'm saying.
So I think there's like vain talk, unnecessary talk, talk that doesn't have meaning. So that's one of them. And then there's talk where it's like gossiping, meaning like, yeah, you are talking negatively about that person, or you're saying something that the person wouldn't like for you to say.
But are all your conversations in the day substance conversations? Like, realistically?
I like them to be.
But are they? Not you
No,
like to
definitely
think they
not.
are. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So,
For the most part,
What?
mine kind of do have substance.
I want to bring it back
Honestly.
actually to a question. Is social media a form of communication in the sense that when they're posting something, they're speaking to everybody in the world?
So they're having that conversation with us, and we're just not having it back with them. Instead
Yeah,
we're
kind
having
of.
It with
Like
us.
it's not something that they're like trying to hide because they're sharing it.
But it depends on what it is. So like if somebody looked at our picture and is like, oh, this girl is this and this girl is that, like, you know?
I definitely don't think you should talk about anybody with malicious intent.
no, but if they see, let's say someone's on our Modern Skeptics Instagram page, which you can find us on, but they see
Plug.
something that we're doing and they're like, they did this. Why would they do this? Or something
Or
like
this
that. Like,
isn't that
it's not-
nice,
yeah,
or
it's
that-
not necessarily like malicious intent. It's just somebody posted something on social media and we're having a conversation about it.
I would not like them.
Is
to
it
say
different
that.
if your account is private versus your account is public?
No, because you're still, even if it's private, you're allowing people to, certain people to see what you're
Yeah,
doing.
but you're allowing those certain people and like, you trust them to talk about you. But like public, are you allowing for everybody and anybody to talk about
I
you?
think it's a commonly well aware that if you post something on the internet,
it will be discussed.
Yeah.
regardless of public or private,
mhm.
it's out there in the world.
Right. I just think as a people, we should try our best. If we have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. And if you see something good, you could. I mean, I don't know if you always will know people on social media, their personality, but if you do know that individual that you're following and you think that they're okay with you saying something nice, go for it. But if you're like, I think this person. I mean, if you're on social media, you probably want people to say something nice about you, right?
I think everyone just wants something
Compliments.
Nice to be said.
Yeah, like people want comments and compliments.
It makes sense. You shouldn't talk about people. That should just be a general rule. You shouldn't be talking about other people. But it's so much easier said than done. Like, I don't want to make it sound like I gossip all day. I really don't. But if I sit and I say I never commented
Yeah,
about
especially
people or
at
what they're
work.
doing, like that's lying. So
Yeah, especially at work. It's not even me. It's like just other people, and I'm in the
like that circle you're in, exactly.
It's easier for me to tell when I'm doing it when I'm talking about a person I know or I hear a person I personally know being talked about. But when it's about celebrities, for some reason I just overlook
That's what I'm saying.
what it
though,
is.
is there?
Like, it doesn't seem to me like
if they're celebrities.
yeah.
That's why I'm saying. So there is a certain degree where people are talked about, and it's not considered gossiping.
No, I think it's
Like,
still
if-
considered gossiping. Like, you shouldn't talk negatively about them.
So,
If you
like,
talk about it, if you're talking about a celebrity, it's considered gossip.
I think it's just
They're still people.
because it's pointless talk.
Like, I don't know. Like, they're still people.
But like, if a celebrity's on the red carpet and she's wearing a very ugly dress, and you say this girl wore an ugly dress, is that gossiping?
Yes.
No. Why?
I would say yes.
Really?
I think it's just pointless talk.
Okay,
Yes,
like-
yes. I would think
Like
that's
you see
gossiping.
something ugly and you're like, oh, that dress was ugly.
I would, because that person's still a person.
I think Malek, so that's considered gossip because gossip means just you're just talking about people in general. But is it a sin would be another question.
Oh, okay, maybe. Okay, I can see what you're saying.
But Allahu Alam. I don't know the Islamic ruling.
We're not gonna.
I just know
comment on that.
Islamically that gossip is a big deal. And
You
all
should
that's-
try to steer clear.
yeah, and also the praises the people who stay away from even vain talk, pointless talk. So I think as Muslims we should try our best to only talk good about people and avoid
Just
talk,
the negative.
Yeah, the negatives. Nobody likes that. Cause put yourself in their shoe. Would
Bad
you like people to
vibes.
talk about you? You know, like
Yeah,
let's
I
be
agree.
real.
Yeah. It's not, I think also it's not healthy to be constantly talking about people. Like we mentioned earlier, when you're talking about people, you're just wasting your time. Like there's no good coming out of talking about other people.
And it affects you and your mindset and the way you think
Mm-hmm.
and start to behave around others.
Yeah, I agree. Like I know, like when somebody says something about somebody, and I'm like, I originally had a neutral feeling.
Oh yeah.
That plays a role in how
You
next
start-
time I interact with them and I'm thinking, oh, this person is kind of rude. Like, you know, before that, the person was complaining to me, then I see them, I'm like, before I never thought about
Oh.
that. I never considered that thought. But, you know, that's why gossip is
Yeah.
very toxic. You need to, like, try your
Or
best
even
to
if
stay
somebody
away.
else asks you about that person, and then you no longer have, now you developed kind of ideas and thoughts about a person that you never had, like you said earlier, and you start sharing that with somebody.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you know this, you heard that this girl talks a lot or shares people's secrets, and you're like, oh, I wouldn't trust her. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it does spread like quick fire.
And
so.
honestly, I do see that. Like, I notice when I meet somebody for the first time and I kind of gauge what they talk about. And if I notice they're, like, more of the gossipy,
Gossipers? Oh, yeah.
I'm like, watch your back. You know, that's not somebody that you want to hang out with. Make sure you don't trust that person with the things
Or
that
get
you want to
too
share
close
or
to
get
them.
too close.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
just like how somebody's on their tongue, you could be the next person on their tongue. So stay
Or
away.
if another indication, like if somebody's gossiping a lot or talks about other people a lot, I won't not take part in the conversation, but for more often parts than not, I won't comment. Like, I'll try not to comment
I'll
about
try
that
to
person.
defend
I'll
the
try
other
to-
person sometimes.
Yeah.
Well,
That's-
I mean, you don't always know the situation.
Oh,
like,
no,
they
like-
could just be spewing to you, you know.
Yeah, even if I don't know the other person, I just try to like, oh, but give them the benefit of the doubt, or what if they meant this? Or, a lot of times I do this, and people can like
Yeah.
misunderstand what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do.
you share a different perspective.
Yeah, but it usually
Or
doesn't
like that
work.
wasn't their intention.
It usually doesn't work.
They get frustrated because they're trying to vent to you, and then you're kind of it sounds like you're defending the other person. But I also use the same mechanism, and it gets people kind of upset because you're not understanding what I'm trying to say.
It just
you know?
depends.
Or you
It
had to
depends
be
who they
there.
are.
Yeah, and if that's the case, like if you're noticing somebody's gossiping, I would either defend the person, or change the topic, or be straight up like, hey, I don't feel comfortable talking about this person when they're not here. You know,
It's hard sometimes though. Like
Yeah, I don't
depending
think
on
I've
if it's
ever
like
said that.
juicy stuff.
it is.
Oh God.
It really is.
No,
you're like,
I.
finish the story, but it's not good that you're finishing it.
But since you started,
It's like no way that happened.
I definitely defend, or I will change the topic. And my topic changes aren't like smooth at all. I literally be like, let's change the topic, and then talk about something else, so they know it makes me uncomfortable. But I remember this one situation that really made me so angry. So we were sitting a group of girls, and there's this one girl who was new to the group. And so, when you're new, you're trying to be like extra nice, but when nice is a little too nice.
Yeah,
and
it's
it
like
crosses
weird.
like, a weird.
like you're too nice. like-
Suspicious.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I love when people are too nice to me. Keep being too nice to me.
I don't like it.
But
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Other people do get annoyed by it. So she left. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the cafeteria. Do you guys want me to buy you anything?" Everybody replies no, and she leaves. And then they start bashing her, and I'm talking about no holdbacks, bashing, hyena laughing type of stuff. And I stopped hanging out with them. And I told them off. I was like, you know what? Shame on her because, like, she's dumb for wanting to hang out with you people. Because you people are the one that are horrible people. Just because she's trying to be nice to you, you're going to bash her like this. And I went off and I stopped talking to them because just imagine you're bashing someone for being nice.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of people
Like,
are
they did
you?
nothing wrong, yeah. Honestly, Mariam, I give you props for having the courage to actually speak up and say something to them.
I don't know if I would be strong.
I think I would probably, like, maybe leave or just, like, stay quiet until, like, that is done. But I will never hang out with those girls again. Like, keep a distance.
Mm-hmm.
But to actually have the courage to say something and, like, defend the girl that left, that takes a lot of courage.
I did mess up, though, I will admit, at one point. Because I went from defending her to, like, bashing them at one point.
You just.
So it's not
That was like what we said
bullying.
earlier. I'll say it to their face.
Well, I did.
And I think we need to keep in mind of hurting people's feelings. Like, even if you say to their face, sometimes we need to say...
Also think about what we're going to say.
Yeah, because even if you say things that you mean and it hurts them, like, is that going to make a difference? Instead of you saying to them and talking to them nicely, that might have a better impact than you yelling at them about it.
And you shouldn't have to defend one person by
Bashing
bringing
them.
down somebody else.
Of course, I 100% agree. Honesty without tact is cruelty.
Ooh, let's take a second to simmer that.
I actually really like that.
What about in the workplace? Because personally, at my work office, nobody talks to each other, so we don't have that problem.
Oh my God.
But in other places, I see it happening a lot.
Oh yeah, my workplace is because there's like 60 of us internal medicine residents. And there's a lot of gossiping, or like if there's like a specific person that a bunch of people don't like, they'll start talking about them. And it's so annoying. I can sometimes see or like understand other people's point of view, but I try to just separate it and be good with everyone.
Why don't we highlight the good patients that we have and see? Like, why are we so negative? From all of
The good patients.
She's talking about other residents.
Oh, all the residents that you guys talk about?
Yeah.
Oh, dang, this is even worse.
I'm not talking about the patients.
Oh. Well, then.
We only talk about patients if they're rude.
Yeah, that's what my mind thought patients,
And that's
honestly.
the tea.
And then if there's a patient, especially if they're super nice or their family's nice, we'll talk about them. We're like, oh, they're
We talk about everybody. Good,
no,
bad.
but I was talking about like the gossip that happens between the people in the
Oh.
program.
That causes a disconnect, and that separates people, and you never know when you're going to be the next person talking about and what rumors are going to be spread about you. It's just toxic. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
healthy.
exactly.
It divides the workplace. You guys are not as efficient or productive. You guys could be focusing on something else.
Yeah, I know. I don't like it.
But what do we do? Whether we like it, you don't have control over people's tongues and what they say.
Not
We
at
have
all.
control over ourselves, and we try our best to not gossip or say things about people. I mean, we kind of alluded to it earlier about like changing the subject or defending.
I mean, I'll sometimes defend, but most of the time I just stay quiet. And I feel bad if they say something funny and I'll laugh, I feel bad.
I mean, I think
Hard.
one of the best things you can do in a situation like that is isolate yourself out of the conversation, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But also people don't like to be isolated.
You don't say
No,
quiet
you like-
anymore.
Yeah, like, I want a
Hershey.
long-term solution. Let's think of a long-term solution.
I don't think
That can
realistically you can dissolve gossip. It's just not realistic at all.
Yeah. I mean, but you can,
Within
Change it-
yourself, you could probably, but
and then if you like become the person, but even then, like, what are they not gonna talk to you?
if you're the type of person that's you're really actually working at not gossiping, people will start to take notice, and sometimes they just won't discuss it in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they'll
They'll-
carry other conversations.
So
with
Yeah.
you.
that you have to be vocal about that, though. You have to bring it to their attention
Or-
rather than just not contributing.
Or you don't have to necessarily say like, oh, I'm not gossiping anymore, do not gossip around me, whatever. It could just be if they're talking to someone about you and you're constantly defending the other person and you're trying to give them good intentions, usually people don't keep coming back to you to hear you defending the other person.
Or if you pay
anyways.
no mind or don't show interest in what they're saying, like,
Or about
Eventually.
you actually once go, I don't feel comfortable when we talk about other people. Just one set of clear-cut
You probably have to
standards.
do it a couple times.
It is awkward,
I
but
don't-
is it one of those
I
things
feel like that sounds pretentious. I don't feel comfortable with you
It
talking
does.
about her in
Okay,
front
but
of me.
No,
then
not
how do you make it not
pretentious.
sound pretentious?
it's the way you say it, like, hey, it sounds like we're kind of going, you just say we, like, it sounds like we're
Yeah.
saying things that the person might not feel,
Or maybe, like-
may not like. Let's kind of
Or just
stay
be
away from
like-
that. You could just
You know, we're good friends with her. She's been a good person. Like, she made a mistake or something like that. But I hate, like, if someone told me, oh, don't talk. Like, I just don't. I want to punch that person. Like, that person would anger me.
Really? No, I would understand.
No, I would respect it, but at the same time, I don't feel like it comes off nicely.
It's awkward, and I feel like it's like slap in the face to you because they
Yeah.
make you feel guilty for what you
Yes.
just did. But that's a good feeling. You should feel guilty.
No,
you know?
but maybe you don't realize you're gossiping too. Maybe you're turning to people and you're venting because you want to see what they have to offer, and they're just throwing it in your face.
But,
You're
like,
gossiping about her.
No, venting about what? Like, if someone hurts you, okay, that you have an excuse to vent. But we're just talking about people who are, in
Like,
general,
talking.
just gossiping.
Yeah, and
for
even
the
when it
fun
comes
of
to venting, you shouldn't share you shouldn't vent to everybody. You should have like a select one or two that you share and open up with.
Yeah.
But even then, personally, like when I vent and tell people whatever situation, one, they have to be close to me, and two, I know it's just gonna be between me and them. But I also try to avoid names in that conversations. As best as I could, I would try to stay away from that. And it has to be more of like a productive conversation. It's like how I could overcome it, or how can I. It's never just like bashing.
Like, there'll
You know?
be someone that can provide you with a solution. Or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
It's not just to bring somebody down.
One situation that really just gets under my skin is when people make fun of other people for asking questions
Wait,
in
what do you
class
mean?
or just asking questions about how to do something.
Oh.
That really bothers me. I don't know because I'm in school right now, but let's say a kid will, raise his hands a couple of times. They will make fun of him. Like, people have made a group chat on Facebook where they're just making fun of this kid for asking questions.
That's so rude.
And
Is it annoying, though? Like, every 10 seconds he asks a question?
No, more like
And are they annoying
every
questions?
like 15 minutes. No, I mean, honestly, he taught me a lot. Thank God he's explaining it to him because now I understand.
My thing is, even if you're annoyed by that, to go out of your way to form a whole group
Yeah,
to
that's
discuss
excessive.
this
Yeah.
is
It's a
so
little
extreme and unnecessary.
It's just that he has the right to ask these questions. He pays tuition just like all of us, and if he wants to ask questions, and it's not like it's disruptive to the point where the teacher can't teach, that gets under my skin. Or
Every
when someone
15
doesn't
minutes, though?
Well, that's technically like 4 questions, 5 questions a period. That's not bad.
But how long does then your teacher take some minutes to respond to the kid, and then before you know it, the kid raised his hand again, and then she's answering again.
The whole
But
class.
I can see
I do
myself
think it's
getting annoyed
excessive.
or making fun. Maybe not contributing to the group chat.
No, I never got annoyed because I respected that. As long as it's not disruptive to where I'm not learning something, then I respected that we're
Yeah.
both equal here and you deserve to learn. And if you feel like you need to ask questions to do that,
Yeah.
then feel free.
Maybe especially if I'm learning from that, like, that's a question that I had too.
Point is, for them to make a WhatsApp group is very excessive. Like,
Yes.
that's unnecessary.
Yeah, a lot of people are unnecessary.
Have you guys ever been in a situation where the word got around, like the word got back to you that somebody was talking bad about you or that somebody's making fun of you?
Yeah, I did experience that. And honestly, it's super hurtful, especially because when they're making fun of you for something you can't control type of thing, it's just hurtful. So honestly, I cried. Like, my first instinct was tears.
Aww.
Which
Yeah,
is
it was.
understandable.
Yeah.
And my second instinct was, I'm not going to address them about this because it's beneath me.
So you didn't confront them.
No, because one, I'm not a confrontational person. And two, addressing people talking about you, my personal advice is just to cut those people out and just pretend they don't exist.
How did you know to believe that person that told you they were talking about you? Because, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
it's just, they said that they were talking, but that's not necessarily true.
No, this is a person I trust.
Okay. So it was from a trustworthy source.
Yes.
And that's also the thing. It's not to necessarily to confront the person, but to kind of talk to them and see, is that really what happened? And then just to confirm.
Or just to be aware of those people.
It's hard to confront the person like, oh, I heard
Oh,
you
it's so
talked
hard.
about me.
I don't think I've ever come
When
across
that
it.
happened to me, like when somebody had said something, one, I don't like when people tell me this person said something about you. I prefer those individuals, even though they mean well and they want me to just be aware, and the person who usually do it are like really close friends. I personally prefer them not to tell me. I'd rather not know. I prefer not to look at that person differently. Anyway, so I did have an individual that said something. I didn't confront them. I just feel like I move on. And like when I see them, I do still talk to them, but not like as a friend.
Really?
Yeah.
So were you even hurt with what they said?
No, I was. Like, that boy, like, what they said really got me angry, and I was so surprised. I was able to, like, at that moment, like, yeah, maybe a few weeks, whatever, that was angry, boiled my blood, but then when I see that person, I still say salam. I still have a short conversation with them.
Really?
So you just pretend like it didn't happen?
I forget, like, you just forget. You know, sometimes, like, at that moment, it was, like, very heated, but then I just...
You forget, but you don't forget. Or do you I mean, you
Or
just take
I
it
don't
in
know,
the-
I'm just
but
like-
you don't forget.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, you forgive, but you don't
Don't forget.
forget. But like for me, it just still because I guess those strong emotions are no longer there. I'm like, oh, did it really?
But you're saying you took it into consideration because now your relationship isn't the same. Like you're just.
I was
civil when you
never
see
close
her.
with that person.
Oh.
I was never like, oh, we were talking. I was never close with this person. But just when I see them, it's not like I'm totally ignoring her or whatever.
It's just indifference.
Yeah, I just don't. It was always indifferent, the relationship. But when I talk to her, I act like how it was before. I never.
Like nothing's
Really?
changed.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think even like the next day or the day before, I was saying salam and gave her a hug.
Oh, wow.
That's
Oh,
weird.
wow.
But
You gave her a hug?
you're saying salam. That was the norm to
Okay,
do.
salam and hug.
But
are
I feel
two
like
very
that's
different
just being fake.
But I wasn't going around spreading anything about her. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not saying go around
Look how
talk
I
about
feel.
her.
things. She's saying giving her
But
a
like
hug.
saying salam, having that
But I
conversation.
still mean well
hug.
for her. Just because she hurt me doesn't mean I don't want good for her.
Okay, you just say salam. You don't have to hug her. Hug is
I feel
like
like
a
kind of
friend.
fake. That's fake.
I don't think so. Like, technically, I'm still okay with you. Yes, what you said hurt me, but I'm not supposed to know what you said.
But you do.
But I do.
So you're supposed to pretend like you don't?
I don't know. Like, you just move on.
Yeah, I understand. I
Like-
agree with moving on, but my moving on is to not continue to think about it or have that person affect you.
Yeah,
So maybe I'd say salam, but to have that conversation and to hug the person, I would not.
but that was the norm before. And it was somebody that I had to see.
So but that's what I'm saying. Like, just because you moved on doesn't mean you can have to go back to that default relationship you had.
Oh,
Like you could have left it at salam.
You don't have to go back to
I get what
pretend
you're
like
saying.
it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Did the girl know you knew?
No.
That would have made it.
She
way
doesn't know
more
another
awkward.
girl had said what she said. No, she didn't know.
I
But I
think
knew.
for me that would have felt like a toxic situation.
What do you mean?
Every single time I would talk to them, I would just remember back to
When they hurt
what
you.
they made me feel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So unless I have two options here. I confront them, we talk about it, we get through it, or
Pretend they never exist.
Not pretend they don't exist, but like keep it short. I don't think I could ever
Give him a hug.
be normal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was like, be careful what you say.
But to have to think about every single word that you're saying to somebody,
Why are you talking to them?
like, yeah, to me, I hate that. I would hate that.
Yeah.
To kind of be censored the whole conversation.
Yeah, to watch every single sentence that comes out of your mouth, every single way you say
No,
the
it's
sentence.
not like that.
Laugh at whatever she's saying.
You just talk
insert
about the
pauses.
weather and basic conversation. You just never go any deeper.
Honestly, I think I would just avoid them.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even bother.
But
with
sometimes
the
you don't have a
conversation.
choice if you work with that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, depends on the situation, I guess.
Further than that, if it was, let's say, a really good friend that I wanted to keep, but they just made this one mistake of, saying something that was not nice about me behind my back, I would confront it. Because that would be a long-term solution to somebody that I'm going to have to see every day because I choose to see them.
Well,
Like, you still want them in your life because people do make mistakes. Sometimes it's a slip of the tongue. They don't mean to do it. So if you confront them and say,
but what if they
I didn't
what if they did mean to do it? Something happened and they grew either jealous or this or that.
well, you need to sit down with yourself and say, do I want this person still in my life? If the answer is yes, you need to go through the hard path, confront it, and realize a way to fix it. So maybe, okay, you talked about me, you gossiped about me, but the root of it was jealousy. So why were you jealous? Let's get to that.
Well, I feel like if you're sensing jealousy in a relationship, that should be a red flag in general.
Yeah.
Like that's a sign of a toxic relationship.
Like I don't know
No,
why
if they're
you'd
jealous
want to.
and talk bad about you, it's toxic. But some friends could be jealous, but not necessarily like want harm or don't spread anything about you or say things
Mhm.
about you.
Or maybe they're just in a bad place right now, like a really bad place, and they just aren't doing the smartest decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when you either got to decide, are you going to, leave them, or not saying that leave them in a bad way, guys. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to say if
Just
you
like
decided to leave.
end the
yeah.
relationship.
Yeah, or I love how we're talking about a friendship as if it's a relationship, because honestly, you got to work so hard at those things.
Yeah.
No, but I think friendship should be easier. Like your
leave.
friendship should and it should flow easily. Like you shouldn't be putting that much work to be friends with somebody. Friendship should just be there.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Depends what level of friends. Going back to one of our other episodes, F is for friends. If they're a normal, like, acquaintance type friend, then I'm not going to put much effort. But if they are a best friend that I am spending time with, then you do have to put an effort in. And sometimes it's not going to be easy because people make mistakes, like I said. So you got to choose what mistakes are.
Yeah. Like I get where
Which
you're coming
ones
from.
are forgiven or which ones you're like,
yeah,
okay,
which
this
ones
can't
you can't
be
move
reconciled.
past and you have
Mhm.
to let go of the relationship and the
But-
friendship.
But I think gossiping is one of those things.
But if you
it'd be hard to move past.
there's one thing to tell yourself you're getting over something, and then there's another thing when you're actually getting over things. Like if you're
Mhm.
harboring feelings of distrust and discomfort with a person, then that should just be like you should just not be around that person.
Yeah, because that breaks the foundation.
And that's just for yourself. Like if you're
Mhm.
constantly feeling discomfort or untrust or something, that's just not the environment or a space that you should want to put yourself in.
Yeah.
So if you have haters or you have gossipers that are constantly bringing you down and you don't want to confront them, then you should just not put yourself in that situation to begin.
Are gossipers a type of haters?
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. I think they are OG
Slanderers are
haters.
haters.
The OG haters.
Yeah.
And everybody has haters. I don't care how perfect you are. Someone's
don't
gonna
even-
hate on you for
I don't
something.
even think you have to be perfect to have haters. You
So-
just people will hate on anything
If-
and everything.
If you don't have any haters, are you doing something wrong?
They do say that if you have haters, you're doing something right.
Or you took a stance for something.
Well, how do you even know if you have haters?
They unfollow you on Instagram.
No, I
I'm
just think
kidding.
I think regardless of
Well,
what you do, people will always talk about it.
Really?
Like if people want to find something to talk about, even if you're a good person and you don't do anything, they'll talk about something.
They'll
Like,
pick everything.
yeah.
Her
Being an
hairstyle.
overachiever, people will hate on that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, she
Being
wants
too
to go
lazy
get
or
her
a slacker,
PhD.
people will hate on that. Dressing nicely, people will hate on that. Not caring about appearance, people will hate on that. Like
Never win.
you'll never win. You never satisfy everybody.
So you got to not care about satisfying everybody.
Yeah, I think.
Just care about, are you with yourself satisfied? And also, don't just trust yourself, you guys. The people around you that you love the most and you value their advice, take their
Yeah, because I was
opinions
gonna
into
say, like,
account.
if a lot of people are telling you the same thing, like, shouldn't you, rather than not caring, rather wouldn't you like take into consideration what they're saying?
I
Yeah,
agree.
you should. I mean, you shouldn't just ban everyone's opinions. Like people that want good for you are gonna give you good advice. They're gonna
Mhm.
give you good opinions, good lifestyle tips. Like,
Yeah,
you
and
should
even
take
if it
that into
doesn't sound like
consideration.
something you want to hear.
But as long as what you're doing is making you happy and the people around you happy, I think you're not negatively affecting other people, then you're fine, for the most part. Like, even with the people you love, sometimes you might not always agree, but it's just as long as what you're doing is not harming yourself or the people around you, then you're in the clear, kind of.
It's all perspective, though. Like, sometimes you don't think, like, oh, how am I negatively harming someone? But then someone might think, oh, this is affecting this person to be like this or that. You know
But
what I mean?
if you're doing something, and let's say you come up to me and you're like, Malak, I don't think I'm doing anything wrong, but you're like, Malak, this is having this negative effect on this person. The fact that you're able to pick out a negative result of my action is an indication that it's affecting somebody, is what I mean.
But just because you're affecting someone, that automatically.
No, I mean, you have to take into consideration the severity. Like,
Mhm.
you're showing your happiness and that's making her sad. No.
Yeah.
It's just
I don't
like
know.
a severity of the situation, you know?
Yeah.
So how do you build yourself up when you know you have haters? So like these stories that you guys told us where it came back to you or whatever, like Mariam, you were so hurt by them. How do you kind of don't let it affect you?
I think you need to remind yourself as to like who you are and the reasons why you did them, and not have what they say or what they like, not have them define who you are.
You have to not care.
Yeah, like not care about what they say.
I think I would turn to good friends and kind of
Wow.
Yeah, a support
like
system.
yeah, I would turn,
like
or I would tell like my family the situation and kind of see what their take on it is. I would turn to people I trust.
that would help.
For me, I don't like sharing my feelings. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, neither do I.
Yeah, so I write it down. I write down,
Dear diary.
no, I'll write a letter to that person. I know you I've told you guys this before. I write letters to people and never send them. I just throw them in the trash. But yeah, and I'll say, this hurt my feelings. Okay, this is confrontation enough. And then I take another notebook and I write things that I like about myself. So, for example, on my notebook, I'll be like, I like that I'm kind. I like that I try to see the best in others. I like this about me and that about me. And it makes you feel better. And you're
Yeah.
like, you know what? This one negative comment isn't going to affect all the good things I think about myself.
That's pretty healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
That's a really good way.
I think
Sounds productive.
I think I would probably, if I was actually affected by it, I think I would just confront the person. Like I'd be like, hey, you said this. Why'd you say it? Let's talk it over. Now that it's over, okay, I'm done talking to you.
Yeah, like that's it.
Yeah, like I just want to hear why you said it. What was your basis of saying it? And now that I know, okay, it's over.
Yeah.
It just feels so dramatic to me.
No, I mean it doesn't have
It's
to be
not-
like tears.
But
and like,
sometimes you don't want to get the other person in trouble who has told you. So
no, you don't have to tell them how you know.
Sometimes it's obvious.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
who
even
else?
if it is, well, you shouldn't have said it. I'm sorry.
Well, the person shouldn't have said it, but then you don't want to also make that friend look bad either. Like you want to protect her as well.
I guess, but if it's something that I'm like a reoccurring thought or something that really, like I was really hurt by, I don't feel like I would take that really into consideration. Like I wouldn't take into consideration how they're gonna feel about the friend that told me. I'd be straight like, well, you said this. Why'd you say it? You shouldn't have said it to begin with. So.
But that friend also shouldn't have shared.
No, not if they're looking out for you.
Well, who is she closer to, you or the other one?
Maybe she trusted her and confided in her, and then, you know.
Well, then that entire situation is not a good
toxic.
situation.
And this is why
For
we
all
don't gossip.
three.
You all
For
need to
all
stop
three
talking
of
to each
them.
other.
Yeah, I think you never win with gossip. It's just a never win-win situation.
So just don't.
Just don't do it. Like, we need to put in an effort to really try our best to think before we speak and try to not have people's names on our tongues.
Mm-hmm.
We need to focus on having substantial conversations. I think that's really important. I think there are a lot of intelligent minds that waste their time talking about other people when really who cares what everyone else is doing. I mean, everyone's living their life. Just continue to live yours and focus on that.
We'd have flying cars by now. I wanted to add one more thing that helps me, because I forgot. I also have a journal. Yeah, I buy a lot of journals, okay? I like my stationery. But I have a journal that I have people that I value and that I love write a letter to me about anything. And whenever I'm feeling down or someone says something that upset me, or let's say you even have negative self-talk at times where you're like, oh man, why did I do that, or why did I say that? I go and I read this journal, and it makes me feel better, and it puts things into perspective. That maybe whatever I did or what I said, it's not as bad as I thought it was. Because for some reason, we always make things 100 times worse in our head than what it actually is.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes we just don't need to really dwell into our...
I mean, you're your biggest critic,
emotions.
so.
Yeah.
We also think about what people say and then...
Find ways to justify it.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, maybe I did do this, or maybe this was my fault, or I went about it this
I actually
way,
read
so.
something really interesting a few weeks ago. It was in the Learned Optimism book by Martin Seligman.
Mm-hmm.
And it said, like, why are women more depressed than men? So for every one male, there's 2 females that are depressed. He goes on to say that women tend to fall into, like, depression more often than men because they do this thing called rumination, where they constantly are focused on the problem. They're constantly like thinking about how they made them feel, the emotion aspect of it. But men, instead of like constantly thinking about the problem, the situation, they actually literally do something that has nothing to do with that situation. So like guys will play video games, they will play sports, they will actively do something that has nothing to do with the situation.
Like they'll exert their energy elsewhere?
Yeah, like shut it off. Like nothing about that emotion. They don't dwell in it. They don't constantly criticize or think over, can I have done something differently? I mean, to a certain extent, maybe we should do this, but that's why they say men don't experience depression as often as women, because of this, the way that they actually cope with the stress or with the situation.
Makes sense. Okay, so how about if you have a boss that's constantly complaining about someone, what would you do? Speak up or shut up?
Do I like my job?
I would probably shut up, I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, I would shut up.
I would shut up, but I would look at some positive things they do and like go back and be like, well, this person did this to my boss, so he can hopefully think better of them.
Yes, like maybe like highlight the other good qualities that they did. So maybe they're complaining about them now, but like, oh, like, you know, remember when they did this? Or
no, I definitely wouldn't do it at the time of them complaining.
Really? Or like you can highlight. I do that sometimes. Like I'll highlight.
Or I would be like, oh really? I thought this is what she wanted to do. Or something like that. Like if I was aware of the situation, I'd be like, oh my god, I thought that this was what she meant by it.
Or I'd probably do
That's a good
that
one.
thing where
Thanks.
I like make a negative comment about all the work people in general.
Mariam,
No,
we
sorry.
talked about this.
No, I know.
Like, well, they all suck.
No, if they were like, I can't
Let's
believe
fire
they're
the whole
so-
department.
Let me give people an example. So let's say they were like, I can't believe this person can't find this article that's easily found. And I'd be like, sometimes I have trouble finding articles too.
No,
That's what I would
like
do.
normalize.
Yeah, like normalize it, making it seem whatever they did wasn't as bad, or it was like a commonplace error.
Yeah.
Maybe-
That's
Yeah.
what I would do.
Maybe if that was somebody else, like my mom was complaining about someone or something, but I don't think I wouldn't want to show myself in a negative light to my boss.
Yeah.
What are they gonna do? Fire us all?
I mean, I think it also depends on how close you are to them and like what kind of relationship you have. Okay, well, how about if you yourself are gossiping? Let's say someone said something or did something to you, so now you want to just vent out to a group of people. Do you want those people to speak up or shut up?
Speak up. I want the person to speak up. In a nice way, but yeah, they should.
So you're not gonna get annoyed with them?
No, maybe at the moment I would, but I would appreciate it later.
I think it depends on how severe it was and how emotional I am about it. Like if I was really offended by it or something, then I would be so annoyed if somebody's like, well, maybe she was doing that. I'd be like, really? Like, I know what she was trying to do. But if it wasn't that serious, or if I had given it time and then I told them about it, I don't think, like, I wouldn't mind if they said,
Yeah.
you know, like, maybe this was her intention.
I hate gossiping. So knowing that I went to a group to vet and gossip, and if they said, oh, you know, let's not talk about this person or stop gossiping or something like that, then they'd make me more annoyed about myself for gossiping. Therefore, I'd be twice as mad. So probably just shut up. That's true. I don't
So
like
you'd
to
want
feel
them to shut up?
Yeah, because I'd feel guilty now that I'm talking about somebody. So then I wouldn't be angry only at them. I'd be angry at myself. And now we got like a triple angry medium.
Okay.
Because I'm angry at that person, myself, and you.
All
Let's
right.
just be honest.
All right. Well, what if someone in your family, your friend, or close circle, are you gonna speak up or shut up?
I speak up. I
Yeah,
call them out.
Yeah, I would speak up.
Yeah.
So I guess it just depends on how comfortable you are with the person.
Yeah.
And how you know the person will react too. Like, if I know,
But in general, if you're close to them and they like get angry at you and like something,
yeah, you know they'll get over it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a fun little game we just played. But thank you guys so much to everyone for tuning in and listening to this week's episode of To Whom It May Concern. Please subscribe, like, and follow us on social media. We appreciate all the support we've been receiving so far, and we love reading comments or DMs from you guys about how you guys are feeling about the episodes or what you think we should talk about. Please continue to do so if you have been doing it, and if you haven't and there's something you want us to talk about, go ahead and DM us, message us, email us. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Modern Skeps, and you can find us on Gmail at modernskeptics@gmail.com. Continue to tune in every week, please, on Tuesday mornings. We love recording these episodes, and we hope you guys are having just as much fun listening to them. Sincerely, The Modern Skeptic. P.S. If you have nothing good to say, don't say anything at all.